There we go. Now we're live.
Yep,
now I can say hi.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
We got a new toy, a new streaming option here. So bear with us as we're navigating all these new cool features. And go ahead and pop a like and a comment if you are here. We're also live on YouTube.
Yay,
So
Katie.
check out our YouTube channel if you wish.
Hey, Katie.
So yeah.
So beautiful.
Very cool.
Morning. We did class outside today.
Nice.
So
Oh, that's cool.
it was really nice. If the wind would just have died down, it would have been perfect. Were you out today, Jen?
I did briefly for just right before this. We went for a little drive, but we didn't go on a hike or anything. We've been too busy cleaning our house and putting stuff in a dumpster. So last 4 days.
How you can still
Hi,
did you
Jamie.
dumpster then?
I'm sorry, what?
You rented a dumpster to purge?
Yes, we did. It came in on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember all the days mixed together, right? So we've been spending since then just pitching stuff.
I love that. I'm the queen
Me
of
too.
Hi, Jamie. We can see your comment. Yay!
Did you see her? Or am I commenting on my own watch party again?
Yes, that's what happened last week, accidentally.
That's totally something I would do. 100%. So, Jamie, you're not wrong.
How was your morning, Randy?
Good. It was day 2 of the big old kitchen clean and purge. So
Did you handle the Tupperware situation?
everything. I've gone through every cupboard and drawer and pulled everything out, cleaned inside, and then also just purged things we no longer needed. Tomorrow, you guys, today I was cleaning things with a toothbrush, and I just had to laugh because, like, oh shit, you've hit the depths of boredom. And tomorrow it's baseboards, walls, and floor. And
So
then
break
I'm
out the
done.
Q-tips.
Be still my heart.
Oh, I know.
Never.
How about you, Lena?
My house is next. You can come on over.
No.
Right.
Clean that corona right out.
No, I'm good.
My morning was good. It's we've been working on some things in the house, so rearranging, lots of cleaning, and it's not totally back to normal yet. So, you know how that gets to get you feeling a little bit kabobbled, but at the same time, it's like refreshing and it's a change. So, yeah.
Kabobbled is mental health word for that, right? That's the
Technical.
technical term.
Yeah, that's one of my faves. I love that word.
I like it.
So, yeah, looks like we got quite a few people watching.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you know that? How do you know you've got quite a few people watching?
I just did the usual thing that I do where I pull it up on my phone and I watch it at the same time.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything on the new.
Nope.
I can see we have 11 people and all the comments coming in. So we got 11 on Facebook and not on YouTube yet. So that's pretty cool. Maybe I get all the cool settings and toys here on this side.
So the comments, in theory, the comments that they have are going to go on this right-hand side, right?
Correct. Can you see them?
No, you're not.
Oh, bye, Missy.
I lost her.
Oh,
She got mad. She's like, screw you, bitches.
I'm waiting for him to share this, I guess.
Well, while we're waiting for Misty to hop back in, it looks like there's a lot of other good cleaning too.
It said I was backstage.
Oh,
You were backstage? Oh my goodness.
And I had to get permission from the host to get back in. So I'm not going to touch anything else, I promise. Sorry.
Did Missy fall? Nope.
You wish.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, I think we're ready to go ahead and get started, if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much we'll just hop in here. So the usual kind of disclaimers that we do, of course. One is that, you know, we're people each on our own path that kind of have followed some spiritual practices and kind of woven them into our everyday lives. And we're not like professional therapists or anything like that. We don't necessarily offer counseling in that sense, but we are here to create space for you and with you. We want to get your input as much as, you know, you're willing to give. So if you have questions, you know, feel free to toss them on there and we'll get to them. If you have specific topics that you want to hear more about and that you want to hear us chat about, then definitely let us know. And then also, there's also the disclaimer that we do a little bit of adult language going on here. We try not to get too crazy and carried away, but every once in a while you just need a 4-letter word. So the little ones might want to not be completely on your lap or anything like that at this time. So, all right. Anything that I forget?
I don't think so.
I think
I
it's
think
good.
you nailed it.
Cool. Yeah. So today's topic was brought to us by one of you guys, one in the community here, and it's the notion of bringing forth your gifts or sharing them with others. And you know, when I was going to prepare for today's chat, just to kind of be the wrangler here today, I thought about, okay, well, if you already know what your gifts are, like that's perfect. But you know, maybe some of you don't, or maybe you have some guesses and that's awesome, but you're not 100% sure. So I wanted to kind of have some talking points to share with you if you're still exploring that, and some ideas to move forward if you already have a good idea. And along with that, I just wanted to kind of get everybody's input and a little bit of their story so far with how they came about to be here today. So a little bit about myself. I first opened up to the woo in about 2016. I was originally going to start taking a class at Illuminations. I was looking at about summer of 2015, and I realized that it was a class that was halfway in progress. And if you do the full complete year, you can get a certificate. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do the whole thing. So I just waited until 2016, and then I started in the beginning of the year. And that was the introduction to shamanism class. And the reason that I was going to take the class was not because I was into this stuff yet, but because I wanted to do research for writing. And yeah, for writing. And then all of a sudden I find myself on this like path of opening up, and my, you know, awakening started to happen from there. And it brought me to different things that I have in my practice now, which includes, you know, sound, Reiki, angelic chakra integration, and all the good tools that I keep in my toolbox, if you will. So one of the things that I will encourage you to do if you don't really have an idea yet would be to just start to explore the things that you find yourself interested in. Because you may have a similar experience to me where you think you want to pursue something because of one reason, but then it shifts. And then the key is to like be okay with that shift, which is easier said than done sometimes. So just be open to exploring different topics and giving yourself permission to pursue things that you may not be familiar with, being okay with putting yourself in a new situation. That can be half the battle, right? So the other things that we're going to hit on today would be like, how can you apply your gifts into normal or non-woo settings? And the idea of compartmentalizing. So with that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience before I have everybody else share. And when I started to do these things and I started to do sound, started to become a sound practitioner, I'm still working a corporate job. I still have a day job that I work, and I wanted to go up to the next level. So the sound certificate that I hold, it requires so many hours of class, right? Like yoga or anything else. And so I wanted to take my level 2 course. And of course it was in the middle of a week in another state. And so I had to request time off of work. And part of that was I had to ask a coworker to kind of help me out with managing some of the accounts that I oversee while I was gone. And so naturally people ask, well, are you going on vacation or what is it that you're doing? And I just was like, okay, screw it. I'll share what it is that I do. And I talked about it. And then they're like, well, that's interesting. Like, tell us more about that. And so I did. And then fast forward a couple years, all of a sudden I realized that people in a corporate setting are really, really stressed. And sometimes they are overmanaged or micromanaged. And sometimes they don't get to have a lot of say in what they do. And so I just started to bring one of my bowls into the office. And all of a sudden I found myself sharing this part of myself that I never thought I would share with these people here, my coworkers in my corporate office. So look for those opportunities or be open to pursuing those opportunities where you don't have to compartmentalize. So the reason that I wanted to share that was because I wanted to get your guys' input too. So feel free to share, if the three of you, what experiences you've maybe similar to that, or where you found your situations where people that you thought would be closed off to whatever you're doing, but were actually like fascinated with it.
Anyone for? Okay, fine. Okay, just to break that off the head. I'm similar in Lana's shoes where I have a day job. It's not necessarily a corporate setting, but it is a day job. I'm an office manager and business manager for a small family-owned company, and going on my journey started probably about my awakening. It started about the time I got the job and I met my husband, and all this stuff started steamrolling into positive life. But none of that was shared until 2017, when I went through the similar class that Lana was just describing, and I was starting to be called to be more myself, more outwardly, like less reserved, less what do I want to say, less polite in some cases, less proper, less slow. And we're getting some feedback. I don't know how to fix that on this. Let's try turning down the volume a bit. Hope that helps. But I was kind to kind of just be shown like you got to get yourself out there. You're figuring out who you are, and you can't fully embrace that until you show people. Otherwise you're going to always have this hidden self, and you're never going to be whole. Is kind of the feeling I always get. So when I started that, I would start to bring crystals to the office. I would start to bring some different things, that artwork and things like that just was very low key. Just looked pretty, so no one really questioned it. And then I started doing some smudging. Some heavy stuff was kind of happening with me personally. There's a lot of shifting in the office sometimes. Some shifts have been going on ever since, but I started smudging, and yes. Randy?
There's still a lot of echoing going on. I can hear it, and Jamie and Lisa both commented on it too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, because I turned my volume down. Is anybody else watching this?
I've got the volume down.
I'm not sure. Because I am hearing you, but I got the volume down almost to where I can't hear you guys.
Welcome to our experiment, everybody.
Yes.
Let's see if there's any tests I can do.
Do you have your headphones handy, maybe?
Should we all grab them?
Yeah, I could grab my headphones, I think.
Sometimes that fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like frogs are loose. I love you, Will.
Audio settings. Let's try that.
Oh, what'd you?
I just changed a mic option and is that better? Hopefully.
It definitely sounds a lot different, but now it's costing me.
Oh.
Lynn says no, it's not better.
How about now?
We did test this out.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Test it out and it was just fine.
Karen Nesham thinks it's the aliens.
It's always aliens.
I think I got one more speaker option. For me, anyway.
Okay.
How's this? Hopefully, is it a little better? Maybe not.
Are we all echoing?
Sorry.
I'm going to try this. Oh, I like that comment, Jamie. How's that? Is this any better?
You sound better.
Yeah, you do.
Echo.
Do I sound better?
You sound good. There's no frogs.
Lena?
Are we good?
Oh my.
Okay. I don't know what I did. I did something. We're going to go with it. Okay.
Woo.
Okay, so I think the last thing that we made out what you said, Jen, was that you started to bring crystals to the office?
Yes. Okay. So yeah, bring crystals. Let's see. Decorating my office a little bit more, just kind of letting who I was out a little bit more. And I am lucky to where I am in a small family business to where, and I was a manager. So I kind of get to just do it anyway without much repercussions. But then I started, using this sage and different cleansing options. And one of our technicians at first hated it. He would bitch and moan and comment every day I did it. But what's really cool is slow. So I kind of backed off. Like, okay, fine, I get it. I'm going too far. And then after a week of not doing it, he comes in and goes, "Where's my mea culpa? Where's my?" Because he's a Catholic, and he would. It reminded him eventually of when the priest would walk down the aisle with the smoke, and he's like, "Where did it go?" So at some point, it started to just assimilate somehow and work.
Interesting.
And so, after a while too, if you are a healer, people just talk to you, right? Ever get stopped at the grocery store and they just want to tell you your life story, and they're like almost like they're confused. I've had that a couple of times. A technician will walk in my office, just bleh everything out, put it all out, and then walk away with that kind of like, okay. And so you just kind of know that I'm creating space is really what I was doing. I was starting to create space. People were starting to feel comfortable. which helped. I guess long story short, it really kind of, I think, helped in my transition of becoming just an admin worker into manager, into leading people and actually stepping into a leadership role because I was being more confident, more whole in who I was. And it kind of just unapologetically me, whoever I was in the moment. Still learning what that means now, going through another shift, but it's I think that's helps, and then it shows people in a non-rude way, like you too can also show up as yourself, as whole or as broken as you are, be unapologetic about it, and you're going to be safe. And that's really kind of what I hope to facilitate in that space. But I wouldn't have been able to do all of that until I had went through it myself. I had gone through all of those cycles, the classes, and figuring out what do I like, what fits, what doesn't. I tried so many things, crystals and tarot and shamanism and alchemy and Reiki and blah, 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 right? And you find what fits and you keep it and you grow with it. And I think overall, there was a point I had in my where I woke up last night about the compartmentalization. And something about last week too, you know, when your immune system is down, when you have a part of your body, your body is working to heal, right? Like let's say you have a broken bone, so your body's putting all its energy to fix that bone. Have you ever got to the point where then you maybe get sick, or then maybe you start having other adverse reactions? Maybe your hair starts to fall out, or you keep stubbing your toes, or you keep being. It's because your body is so focused in one area to heal it, to catch it back up. To me, that was much like my spiritual experience, right? Like I needed that part was lacking so much, and when I didn't lean into it, when I didn't focus on it, other parts of my life started to become broken, if you will. It started to, so I could see where it's much the same. It's a part of a whole, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not separate from you. It's body, mind, soul is definitely a real thing. And that also includes your corporate life, your mom life, your sister life, what all these roles you play is all part of the same you. So if you integrate spirituality and lean into it, you don't have to go blowing it and blasting your flag all the time. But if you show up and share it as you are, other parts of your life are going to become more at ease. Hope that makes sense. A long roundabout.
Absolutely.
I'm still hearing echoing and I'm so distracted by it. Is anybody else?
No, I'm all good here.
Do you have a
I'm
setting
getting a little bit.
thing on the side, Randy, right next to the comments? And then there's an audio settings.
I have a camera and mic. Yeah, which one?
Try your mic.
And change it to something?
Change it to something, or do you have one that says about audio processing?
No.
No, that could just be me.
I do.
I have disable audio processing.
I turned mine off, and that seemed to help.
Okay, I just turned mine off.
Okay, how about now?
Now I can hear myself though. All right, anyway.
Can you still hear yourself?
No. I mean, like I heard myself echo.
Did you hear that?
Lynn still hears it too.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, I've got it now. When she changed her setting, then now I've got it.
That's all I did is I changed which mic I was using, and I turned off unchecked disable audio processing. And that. Sorry, guys. New toys.
Do I need to change my mic at all?
You could try it.
To which one? Does it matter?
You shouldn't.
Maybe just play till you find one.
How about now?
You sounded good, Lena.
were we? We were. I don't hear anything right now, so I'm good.
You're
Everybody
good?
else
Okay.
is good?
Cool.
We'll try.
Yeah. So for me, I was working at Mercy as a medical librarian, and just the way I came into all of this was very happenstance. Well, I think probably for all of us it is that way. Maybe. But I had met a person who knew a person who that person was Jamie, and I started hanging out and talking to Jamie a lot and learning about myself and having to confront who I was at that time and the pain that I had that I needed to work through to get who I am. And so I was so excited about this whole thing because I was like, oh my God, I can see who I'm supposed to be. And I know I can work through this trauma. And so I tried sharing that with the person at the time that I talked to the most, my sister, and she rejected me. You know, she asked me she asked me questions that she would not ask me today. I know that. But, you know, where does it say this is all okay in the Bible and all of that? Well, so in that one hand, I was rejected by my family, right? But on the other hand, I went to work and I was like, F it. This is who I am and this is who I'm going to be. And it really did open a lot of doors. And like Jen said, you know, where I sat in my office in the library, it's not like anybody could see me from the outside, but people would walk in our door and make a beeline just for my office and come and sit down and just tell me everything. And then they would get up and they would leave. And my coworker would come over and she'd say, did you know who that person was? And I'm like, not a clue. Still don't know. Never will know. But
You
they feel
totally
better.
have that energy. You
Yeah.
have that going on.
It's my big old light,
I'm
you
just
know. Thank you. But I mean, so I was really open with my boss about all of this because she and I were friends, and she opened doors for me. Like she, you know, in the budget we had some money left at the end of the year that we had to have spent, and she said, "How do you need to use this for something? Like what would you want to do?" And I was like, "You know what? Medical aromatherapy sounds good." So she bought me that course so I could do that.
Wow.
And yeah, it was really nice. But it also opened up doors in my position. So there was the Plane Tree Initiative, which is all about putting the patient first, making the patient and their family feel at ease, you know. And Lena, you know about that, right? Because you worked at Mercy when that was all rolling out. So
Yep.
I got to help with that, which really brought me closer to my spiritual gifts and figuring out all of that on my own or with Jamie's help or whoever's help was there. And but eventually what happened is I got so uncomfortable being at Mercy, even though all of these doors were opened up through Mercy. And also I should mention my job, my full-time job had been eliminated, so I was only part-time, but it was no longer right for me because it was no longer on my path to be doing that sort of work. So being part-time, I also then got to take part-time massage therapy courses, which then once that was over, propelled me into, okay, now it's time to take the leap and get out of here and start my own business. You know, does that answer any questions? That's kind of just like the nitty-gritty of how I got from being in the corporate world to not in it at all anymore. And there's a whole lot more that goes into that because it's not just like discovering what your gift is or gifts are and then being like, here they are. I mean, you have to work through self-worth. You have to work through, am I even deserving of this?
Yeah.
Am I a fraud? You know, all of those questions come up and you have to face each one of those if you want to continue developing and sharing these gifts with others.
And that's a good point. I mean, I think at a certain time, we tend to just outgrow places. Like we were there for the time that we needed to be. We were around the people that we needed to be around, good or bad, you know, for the lessons that we needed. and to open those doors. And then now it's time to walk through a different set of doors. So yeah, that's perfect.
Jamie said much the same thing as you guys said, that the most freeing, liberating part of my spiritual gifts and journey was when I just spoke openly and honestly about it.
Yeah.
I
mean, yeah, totally. I mean, I lost my family for a portion of time. I lost my whole professional identity and had to figure out all of that over again. Or
that makes me sad.
Why?
I don't know. Just that you have to go through that sort of shedding process, even though I understand that it's purposeful, I still am uncomfortable with other people being uncomfortable in some capacity. You know, I still want the best for everybody that comes across, but yeah.
And I think that goes back to what Jen was saying too. I mean, and that is one of the things that when somebody comes to me, you know how we all have a type of person that comes and what they're navigating, they come to us at the right time for. So a lot of people come to me when they are just needing to step onto the path and get direction. You know, I'm like their little fire starter. I can get them going. But one of the things that we talk about really is, you know, are you ready for this? Because you're going to start losing things. Are you ready to do this? Because people are just going to, you know, fall away. And that's okay. That means you're growing.
With
and
that,
it's going to be lonely for a while.
Right.
With that too, don't press it too much, guys. I mean, just like, so I think about when I'm doing this house stuff, and I found a whole bunch of stuff from my my parents' marriage, actually, that they're no longer together. I'm actually, you know, most people know I'm no contact with my mother, and I would not have been able to properly process and shed some of these things until now. We've been wanting to do this for over a year. And I had to go through certain steps and resilience and, you know, work myself up to the worthy that I know that I am right now, to shed a lot of the stuff and be okay without having these huge emotional and spiritual triggers. So part of this is losing friends and losing people and shedding away. Sometimes people are anxious to get to these points. And it's almost like it's okay if you're not ready yet. It's okay if you're still closeted in the woo. It's okay if you can't share these things yet. You'll get there. Is a part of it. And that's part of the process of I think we've all gone through that too, is that closeted period. So it's just part of building your story. And then once you have your story, you're more confident in sharing it with others. And then you find the right people who need you versus just everybody who wants to come to your light. You get kind of, I don't want to say niche, but kind of that niche, if that makes sense, because you've allowed yourself that time.
Well, if you want to turn it into energy and frequency, you develop a certain frequency that then attracts other people on that frequency. So that niche is not a, you know, it's not a bad word. It's just the frequency.
Right.
So.
And that was,
sorry, I was going to say I didn't face any of that struggle because I grew up in a very woo family. So unfortunately, my slow process was growing up, where you guys it came naturally, one thing into another. That was my whole life. And then in 2016, it was like I got railroaded. So it was fast, hard, and 2 years of very intense training or expansion, if you want to call it that. So.
I think it's an important perspective too, because a lot of people are afraid to maybe say that I've had this through childhood. Some people aren't. It's like, oh, I've always known I had this gift. I didn't have that. When people talk about their story, like, I've been gifted since I was 5. Like,
Yep.
I feel so disconnected from that, but it's really cool to see and hear those stories of people who have been supported through their whole lives in that.
Yep. I spent time there. I didn't stay there, but there is a piece of, you know, shame or like, oh, you had it so much easier than, you know, all these people did who are struggling just to get, you know, X, Y, and Z done. And sometimes I don't, you know, necessarily think that I'm the best person to maybe teach you to hone your craft all the time because I didn't walk through those same steps. But in all actuality, none of us walks through anybody else's steps. We all have our own place, you know. I like to be sort of a journalist and provide information, dump it on you, and then let you find your place, you know, and then coach here and there and, you know, provide little dangling carrots.
Plant the seeds.
Yeah, and see what people do because people need to come to things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Abrupt isn't always the right way.
Yeah. I can remember, I have like little flashbacks of when I was younger. And I remember just being so joyful and exuberant and bigger than life, right? I mean, I was just like a little Smurfette is what I was called. And then there was some trauma at the age of 7. It was a series of things that happened in my life, and that just shut off. And I mean, only in the last couple years do I see that just like that exuberance coming back out and that a little larger than life sometimes personality come out. And I'm like, oh, damn, it's taken me 35 years or whatever it has been to refine who I was and to remember all of these gifts that I do have. And when I was little, I remember we lived on a country road and one part of our house had a cornfield next to it. And I would hang out right at this edge of the cornfield. And I remember this woman, she would come and visit with me. And it wasn't until a couple years ago that I recognized her, where I was like, oh my God. I mean, you've been coming to me now for like 4 years, but now I recognize you as the woman that came to me when I was like 7. And she would like protect me because I was going through such a hard time with my family at that time. But it's like she has gradually helped me realize what my gifts are, you know, and that exuberance and that larger than life personality is one of those because it helps draw people in, you know, and makes you feel comfortable, I think, or either.
Really? I hadn't noticed that about you at all.
But I mean, I'm so lucky. I'm fortunate. You know, Jamie's listening, Jamie Taft. Hi. But she has really, from the get-go, she was like, oh, girl, you are a healer. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Don't touch me. Don't love me. I mean, no, that's not me.
Don't touch me.
Well, and then it was like, oh, I think I want to go to massage therapy school. And I had numerous friends who were like, are you sure? Are you sure that's for you? Because you don't like to be touched and you don't like to touch people. But I mean, just that little transformation that's happened in like the last 5 years. I mean, I am one of the first people, I will attack you for a hug. You know, that is one of my gifts, but I had to be reminded of it. And I had to be really uncomfortable to get to where I am. So laying naked on a table with other people touching you is one of the ways I had to come into my gift. Which, I mean, you're covered. Stop it.
But that's a very normal thing for a lot of people. It's getting a massage. That's very accessible for a lot of people who think it's normal. It's non-woo. But it is a really, you know, so that kind of ties into what we're talking about today, which I like that too. So I also was reading something this morning about how Creator, Spirit, God, whatever, comes to women in the mundane. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks this morning because I'd been so worried with all this stuff. I hadn't had time to find myself in this weird shift that I'm going through. And I was like, you know what, Jen, just keep doing what you're doing. It was a good hard hit. Like, spirit works in the mundane, in laying naked on a table or talking to a coworker or all these non-new ways, which is really amazing to me.
Well, I mean, and what a great introduction for me into all of the energy work that I now do, right? I mean, but I had to get comfortable with people physically touching me and me physically touching them so that I could work through the physical to get to the emotional, to get to, you know, to the psychological, to get through all of that layers, to get to their energy levels too. Because if I couldn't feel comfortable touching them, I don't know as if I would have been comfortable getting into their energy field, you know, accessing emotion with them. You know, and I hold a lot of space now. I mean, people break down and there's a lot of crying that happens with me. And I'm able to just step back and sit there and hold that and let that happen. You know. But anyway.
What else we got? Anything else?
Well, we touched on a lot of the things that I have written down that I wanted to chat about. I'm going to go back to Missy's point about frequency. Because that was one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, not a lot lately, but a few months back, was the idea that, am I to this or that for certain people? Am I, you know, is it because I do this? Like, I'll just throw out card readings. Is it because I do card readings that I turn other people off and they don't come to me for whatever? Or do I need to focus just on one or the other? Like, do I just do sound? Or do I do all of the things? And then there's the mind spiral that I kind of talk myself into of like, well, if I only did this, then I would be so successful at that. And then, but it's like, you know what? I'm not a 1D person. I have multiple interests and I shouldn't have to shut them off just to make other people comfortable. You know, so I think that is sometimes something that a lot of us can be guilty of, or at least something that we have to work through, I think. The idea that, you know, you don't have to just do one thing. You don't have to limit yourself. You can give yourself permission to pursue the things that interest you or the things that you resonate with, and you'll find your people. You'll find others within your tribe, and that will evolve and that will shift over time. And one of the things that I have discovered about myself now that I've been on the path for a while is that my tolerance for bullshit is like 0. Like drama and pissy attitudes and like not people who aren't compassionate. I'm like, you know what? I can send you love and I can know that you're on your own path, but I don't want that in my life anymore. And it's hard because some of those people have been family. And I think it goes back to, you know, the chat that we had about boundaries of like understanding that you have to be mindful of your own energy. You have to protect it. And sometimes understanding that you may have to like give up some of those connections for a while. And that's hard. I don't know if this is beneficial for anybody, but that was, I think, something that I think was really important as far as this discussion goes. So
I think to piggyback off of that too is when you do get into something and you see, as you get into, let's say you get into this world somehow, some way, whether it's recreationally or more, you're going to see a lot more people that are similar to you who do the same things. And to me, I will say, it was a little discouraging almost. Kind of like I had this spark of something special that just lit me up, and now I get to share it. And now I'm being called to do this. Well, it's really cool to see other people who have the similar stories, to have support and community. One little part of me got looped into the spiraling brain of like, well, there's already so many tarot readers in the world. There's already so many light workers. Which is all amazing, positive things. So
Right.
be aware of when you get caught in that loop, and it helps you kind of get out of it. You and your frequency and the way you do it, whatever it is, or however you do it, is going to be, well, you might technically all learn Reiki or shamanism or tarot cards, but the way you do it and you bring your soul into it is 100% unique. So just for people who may be dabbling in stuff, don't get too discouraged by seeing, because you are going to see it. That's that vibration thing. It's going to attract. All of a sudden, now my whole Facebook feed, all my friends are all light workers. They're all of some capacity doing something of that. And it's a really good community to have support, but it also, our human ego brain will trick us into, and that's where that worthy and do I deserve this, and just know your frequency when you pull the cards is different than even your frequency when you do different work. So Lena, like if you do cards versus doing sound therapy, you're bringing different aspects of self. So I think it's important to just go as called, go as whatever you. I'm very impulsive in my healing journey. I will dabble into a whole bunch of different things, and
That means you're following your excitement then. That is not a bad thing. You know, you say it like it's a bad thing, but it's not.
Right. Go as, oh, this is interesting. And then you find, at first I too got discouraged too, because I was spending all this money, right? Oh, I got this deck and this deck, I got this class and this class, but then I kind of like guilted myself and but I'm not using that now. But that didn't resonate like I thought it would. And that's not a waste. So know that's not a waste either, because you are just part of finding where you are to go in life. Is also part of finding what doesn't fit. You can open that door, step through it a little bit, go like, nope, not really for me, but I'll take this apple off the table because I like that bit.
Right.
So,
well, you don't stay at the same grade level. You take, but I bet you still have a book from second grade somewhere hanging around. I still have Nancy Drew books over here. That's still a thing. You take what you need with you when you go.
And sometimes I've been drawn to classes that I sit in and I'm like, oof, this is probably nothing I'm going to use. But, here's one sentence that I pulled out that I always remember. Or, oh, I was supposed to be here to meet this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that. I was thinking this morning, I saw the K Apothecary meditation come up today, and then was contemplating, what we are doing, and everything that Catherine and Karina do, and Stephanie and Gretchen, and just thinking, I wonder what this geographic location looks like from their perspective, because versus growing up in a family that we went to all the psychic fairs we could go to. Like, my mom had me by the hand and we would go to whatever. And there was it was actually, Lana, what you said about how I think there was competition amongst light workers in the day where, oh, we already have a tarot card reader. Oh, we already have this. And they tried to hit, the top 5 things. And there was this sort of competitive thing. And now the light workers of this mindset are very networked and very supportive of each other, and just go, yes, you do your whatever it is that you want to offer to the community, and they do what they do, and it all just weaves this sort of web of light over this geographical region. And I'm just thinking, I wonder what this looks like from creator perspective, and what the thoughts are on that. To be a fly on the wall, or an angel on the wall, or an alien.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's beautiful, Missy.
Oh,
I like this comment.
Yeah.
How do you keep from being overwhelmed with all the things?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think the biggest lesson that I needed to learn was that if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, whatever that manifests as, whether it's feeling tired or feeling cranky or just feeling like I have no time or whatever it is, like I try to let myself rest when I need to rest. And for some of us, that's harder to do. But that's one of the things that I've learned is that when I feel overwhelmed, I need to like take a step back. I need to maybe get a little bit more sleep, maybe do a little bit more meditation or something like that, but just rest is typically what I try to do. And it's a balance and it will ebb and flow. So, especially when you're learning.
Lisa, do you mean when you're coming into your gifts or when you're trying to figure them out, or when you've already come into them and you're helping others? Because I think the answer could then change a little bit, but
yeah,
both sides are valid on that. I like that.
Yeah. I think for me, like when I was coming into my gifts, I was searching. I was constantly searching the internet. I was looking at books. I was reading books and talking to people and like just digging. And what I needed to do was just step back and be. I needed to put that all aside and just be mundane, wash my dishes, wash my clothes, vacuum, because that for me is like a meditative thing, and a lot of more information comes in, a lot more knowing happens in those moments for me than when I'm digging. And so for me, I would get overwhelmed with information and I didn't know how to pull myself away. And so I'd have to step back. Now, as a practitioner, when I get overwhelmed, the universe kind of takes care of it for me because people don't book appointments. And I've had to realize, okay, I need a break, and the universe just gave it to me. And so I take my break and I just rest. I do things that bring me joy. And the moment that I'm ready to start seeing people again, the people start booking. So
I couldn't agree more with that.
you experience that too?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. When I was getting my business started, I was really like looking into all of okay, I need to be posting this many times a day on Facebook. I need an Instagram account, all of these things. And it was like, you know what? That for me personally does not resonate. I cannot do that. What I had to do was just say, you know what? Here, my light is on, and whoever needs to find me will find me. And that has been the best source of marketing, getting my name out there than anything.
Part of something that popped in my head too with that, when for those who are searching and are just like taking in and right, figuring things out, testing things out. I have no idea where this came in my head. At some point in my life, it said, never waste your time with a crappy book. Just because you bought a book and you're in it, whether it got shitty halfway through or you can't get past the first chapter, put the book down. And I think that's I take that with all of this too. Like if I am grinding, I get overwhelmed and too tired because I'm grinding too hard. I'm trying, I'm pulling and reaching for stuff too hard. At that point, if I'm like, okay, just stop. It's not yours.
You're not in the flow. You're forcing.
Right. So put the stuff down, whether it's a certain class or modality or people or a deck of cards. How many times have I bought in a deck and it was like, this is amazing, and then I open it up, I'm like, this is shit. I don't. So just don't grind. If you're grinding too hard at it, maybe try something different. Just because it's a no answer doesn't mean it didn't help you on your path and figuring your life out. I think this is her reply here. She hit burnout July and still rest mode. So complete burnout is, I don't know if I've ever had a complete another burnout in my stuff yet. So I don't know if anybody else has that would be helpful there.
No.
I think part of it too is following, like Missy said, like the excitement and being impulsive. I think the more you're in that,
Excitement is a very, like, I think you guys got sort of a glimpse into my world and about how particular I am about the words that I choose in regard to emotion, because they all hold a certain frequency, right? And excitement is a specific resonance. It's a specific feeling that we were given that allows us to navigate the world. If you don't feel excited about it, don't fucking do it. If you're invited to Thanksgiving dinner and you're like, just shoot me. Guess what? It's an option. Don't fucking go.
Mhm.
I mean, and then the payoff comes after, because where we grow is bravery to follow the excitement. It really is the journey part and the figuring out. My body is telling me what to do. I decode only my body. I can listen to Lena's story, and I can listen to Jen's story, and I can listen to Randy and Missy's story, but that's not my story. My story is in here. And excitement is a specific frequency, and that is incomparable to any other feeling, and it lives in the stomach, which is where your subconscious lives, by the way. Like
so that can apply to everything non-woo as well. Like,
oh, heck yeah.
you know, that I mean, that's so universal to everything. Your job tasks. I figured out how I can better. So kind of back to really what this is going. How do I apply this?
That's what I was going to say. Is that's how you know it applies. That's how you apply the woo to.
Yeah, I knew what I could delegate as a manager. That was the hardest thing to learn. How do I delegate? I went from just being the doer and being that admin support piece to now I have to oversee someone else doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have to keep some, like, so when I didn't have that fire, that light, that passion or excitement in doing a certain task, then you guess what? Somebody else gets to do it, and that's okay. And I hate doing housework. I hate cleaning. I am not going to clean my baseboards with a toothbrush. I am sorry, that is never happening. I don't know.
Well, apparently, you can just hire Randy. She likes to do it.
Some people really love that type of stuff, and it makes them feel good. So all of that is the key that is the key to making yourself feel healthy in the flow, and it helps you just move through life as whole as you can be.
I wanted to, I jotted down something that Lena said earlier, sparked a question for me, and I think it's applicable to people getting into the woo or stepping into gifts. And I'm interested to see your guys' reactions. Do you feel we need certification to do certain things?
That's yes and no, I guess. For me, next week I get to start a alchemical healing certification course, and it's from the gal who was gifted this info.
Why didn't you tell me that? Amazing.
I know. I'm
excited for you.
I bit the bullet. I'm spending the money. It's online. It's and I'm getting level 1. Because it's from it came from this person, right? She was gifted all of this. She's been working with this. I just because I can read a book on it. Yes, I probably have a lot of the tools. I've gone through the self-initiations, but I don't feel comfortable in offering it as this specifically until I almost get her blessing, that she can see that I have gone through the work.
Right.
Stuff that is open, like let's say maybe some crystal readings. I can offer crystal readings, but I've never gotten a certification for it.
So where do you think that line is between what is an all skate activity and what is a specialized area of certifiable focus, I guess, for people who are considering classes or thinking of doing something?
I would say you would really want to check in with yourself on that. And I'm speaking to the general you here because, like, if you take Randy, for example, she maintained, well, at least I think she still maintains her massage therapy license because per state regulation, you have to have that in order to touch people. I have no problem following law like that if it's required, but at the same time, I understand that all of us are connected to the divine. We're connected to the universe. We all have our own gifts. What I will say is that I think that if you pursue a certificate or education or some sort of a course, pay attention to what your goal is, because the reason that I learned through the sound therapy school that I learned through is because I resonated with it. I resonated with the teachings. It comes from an oral tradition from someone who was on a similar path than I was. My teacher came from Nepal to the States to be an engineer, and he was in the corporate world, and he was like, oh my God, people are stressed the hell out. I grew up with bowls. Let me bring them to the States. And so fast forward, my path is similar to that. So I understand that we all have personal gifts and knowings and the ability to download and process and share. But at the same time, do what you need to do in order to protect yourself. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think part of it too is everybody's a different learner.
Yeah.
And so there are some people just naturally who it helps them get in the zone, if you will, an acceptance of themselves if there's a certificate involved. I've met with a gal I go see for healing, two different gals, very close friends, but they're two different spectrums on that. And one gal, she admits it. She's like, I need a certification. I need this schooling. I need accountability from a teacher to help me through that. And the certification, while yes, it's just a piece of paper, it helps her receive somehow, some way. And some people just need that. They're wired that way. I think a lot of it is too, if this is coming from a certain tradition, like Reiki, for instance, is coming from certain traditions. If it's coming from somebody who has created the process or had downloaded it and now is offering it and wants to make sure that, people are authentic in doing that work, preceding them, I can see it be very beneficial. Like I said, Nikki Scully doing a chemical healing, I want to make sure that before I use that phrase and offer that I don't want to undermine her work, as a lot of it too. I don't want to undermine the work that has gone before me. We stand, like Missy, you keep saying, we stand on the shoulders of others. I think it's a respect thing in some cases. In some cases it's but there's a lot of certifications that you can get like online, which sounds great. Oh, for $20 you can become a crystal angel, something healer. In that case, I probably
Right.
Yeah.
Randy?
This is something I really struggled with when I went through the shaman course with Jen. And Jen and I did talk about it, I think, quite a bit, right? Because when I came into the class, I had been on this journey and had been doing healing work already, and I didn't think I was ready for the class. And then I got into the class and I was looking around, and I think everybody that was there was ready to be there. Do not get me wrong. But I had serious questions and concerns about the stuff that we were learning and it being taken out and being used on other people when I didn't think that person was really ready to be doing that work. And so I talked to Noelle, the teacher of that class. We talked about this quite a bit. And she said, how did you learn? Randy, how did you learn? And I'm like, by doing. And she's like, that's how everybody needs to learn. Everybody needs to learn by doing. And she said, you also have to realize the universe has your back, that person's back, and the person that's going to that person, the people that are coming to you, has everybody's back. And so whatever lessons are happening in that session are the lessons that the person giving needed to learn and the person receiving needed to learn. She's like, other than that, there's really nothing that we can do. There's not a way to control this kind of work. And I'm speaking about like shamanic energy kind of work. That has helped me a lot.
It speaks a lot to hear that you were concerned about the integrity of the work and the integrity of the experience that a client would have coming to it.
I think part of that comes down to also for people to know, just because you get a certification, or if someone is offering, hey, I'm certified in, I took whatever, doesn't automatically mean they are integral in what they're doing. So then what Lena said, just go on resonance, go what feels good when it comes to either pursuing a course or seeing a practitioner as well. Yeah. Like, just because they say, I took a 20-minute course online on Udemy or whatever it might be, and now I'm doing this. Okay, great. And they haven't put in work, but they have a certification. So it just, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. Exactly.
I think it does also, we, as the types of practitioners we are, we have to be careful with not crossing a line and trying to deal with mental health issues. And that's another thing that I've really thought about too is, okay, what are your cues? How do you know when you are in over your head or when you should not be dealing with this aspect of this person's issue? And I've had a couple of people that have been very mentally ill, and I've had to cut off services to them because I'm not equipped for that. And I do have a license. And, Reiki and energy work is covered under the massage license. So I have to be careful. I have to be really careful because if I violate some of these things, I could lose that license. And that's something I'm not willing to do. And I don't want to F anybody up.
Right.
I mean, and it goes back to resonance again, like Lena said. If I feel like that person, I can't help them, I will try and refer them on to somebody I think that can. But I will always say, do you have a counselor? Is this something that you should be talking to somebody like that about? Like you can come and get Reiki from me and I can help you calm down, but I can't figure out that issue. I can't help you navigate some issues.
Right.
So I think it's also knowing what your weaknesses are.
Oh, definitely.
Cool.
Yes. Anything? We're at 4:09, guys. Anything else to end the day with?
I wanted to know if we answered Lisa's question, because she did respond and she said she shut her practice down in August, not because of lack of clients, but because of physical exhaustion and health. Has that resolved, Lisa? Are you still struggling with those things?
Yeah. I wonder how much of a delay from Facebook to seeing comments are. So
yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to also mention in all of this, as you're developing or coming into your gifts, you can't spiritually bypass anything. You cannot escape your shadow self. You've got to face those things head on, because if you don't, you can only get so far and you're going to get slammed back down.
Truth.
You can think you can.
You can think you can.
But you can't.
Yep.
So she's still sitting with it. Well, you can always reach out to any one of us, I'm sure, if you want any direct help or guidance.
I did put a list of items together just to offer up as suggestions for folks. So maybe we can just leave off on that note. And if you guys have anything you want to toss in, feel free to chime in. And with anything, there may be some things on this list that you, who's ever watching or listening to this, may not resonate with. So do the magpie thing. Pick up the things that resonate with you and leave everything else. So my first idea would be to just set intentions. When you wake up in the morning, set an intention or a couple intentions for the day. Even if it's just like, okay, I'm going to have a good day today. Simple, something like that. That's great. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to pursue new things or learn new things or even just try something new. For me, as somebody who my greatest teacher is worthiness, it's hard. It is really hard, especially when you're sitting in that stew of like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy of that. This person's so much better, blah, 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 blah. Give yourself permission. Read, research, watch YouTube videos, take classes. You can do that, online, certainly right now, maybe in person again when we have the chance to do that. I find that listening to music is helpful because it will, especially if I'm stuck on a song or a specific song, I will listen to it over and over and over and over and over again and not get sick of it. And then I started to ask myself, why? Why am I listening to this? Or is it something within the lyrics that I need to hear? Is it something within the musicality that I need to pick up on? Definitely pay attention to what keeps grabbing your attention. Learn more about it. Go to somebody who you know does it. Meditate. Know thyself. Definitely check in with the self. Speak with friends and like-minded people. You'll be really comforted by that, number one, but then number two, it may open up new ideas. Receive energy work. If you are somebody who is open to that, or even if you're not like quite a believer, but you're like, interesting, give it a shot, because I found out for me, that's really what opened me up, was receiving on a semi-regular basis. Now, you can blow your circuits if you don't pace yourself. So be mindful of that. Do things that let your mind explore, whether that's crafting or going out in nature or, working with others. And listen to what others have to say. Pay attention to the feedback that you're getting, whether it's constructive or positive. I think one of the things that really pushed me to start to do things more publicly was the feedback that I was getting from my inner circle. And Randy, I'm specifically looking at you and Jen as well. Just like encouragement is a great thing. But then also, if you're getting feedback from people who want to shut you down, take that as like, okay, but that's their issue. That's not my issue. That's something they need to work on. Or maybe they won't, but know that what is yours and what's not. And then, oh yeah, that was the last thing. Just acknowledge that there may be haters, but they're not your people. Mm-hmm. So, anything that you guys want to toss into that list?
Did you say intuition? Trust your intuition?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your callings. I mean, you did kind of touch on that. But for me, my biggest lesson was, oh my gosh, you know what you know. You know what you need to know in the moment that you need to know it. And if I'm being told to go pick that book up, I should probably go pick that book up. And as these ladies know, I'm not the best listener. Don't follow my path.
Yeah. I think for you, you're not alone, and finding at least one person who will be your cheerleader. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to have this big, massive 100-person tribe. And having a couple people, one or two people who are giving good, authentic criticism or support that you can trust. Also, ones that will kick your butt a little bit and push you out. I think that's a big thing. Finding people who urges you to expand. Mm-hmm. And is rooting you on for that. Not just like, oh yeah, that's cool. You probably should do that. Like, no, seriously, do it. or like people who will pull you out. My part of my story was I was too much into the void and the dark night of the soul, and I got very comfortable, very comfortable there, and I needed some help pulling out. And they reached down in there, they got dirty with nitty gritty, and just help, like, no, it's done now, put it down. So you need people like that, and whether it's just one or two people, hang on to them and keep them close.
Yeah. But
Couldn't
always
agree
trust
more.
yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes. Let's see. It helps if you push the right button on this. I just want Sarah, that is hilarious. Sarah said, the harder you search, the less you find. Sarah is a searcher, like she's a searcher. So that's funny to see her say that. I love it.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, if there's any questions, there's a post. Maybe we should kind of push it up, kind of do a signal boost to it of topics. If there's something that you guys are aching to know or have questions on, make sure you're commenting there, or at least sending us a message or an email, something of that nature. I did put a link to our YouTube channel here in the chat as well. So if you prefer to watch that way, it does the same thing. We see the comments and everything. So go ahead and you can follow there if you need. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
No,
Sorry about the
anybody-
technical issues.
Yeah.
But it
Sorry.
was super nice to have such engagement. I love having the ability to see the comments as they're coming through.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody has a good week. Do something that lights you up this week, whether it's cleaning your baseboards with your toothbrush or watching a movie
Or not.
or FaceTiming with friends or not.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.